Hello, my name is Alan, and tonight I'm facilitating a session of Night's Black Operators. This is my effort to make the Operators cinematic role-playing system work in a Night's Black Agents by Ken Hite setting. We have experienced some mechanical glitches with the system as written, so we continue to tweak it on the hoof, but I have high hopes that we will get there in the end. I think I'll begin by asking, we are expecting a fourth player to join us. He's got some technical difficulties cropping up, but I think if I could ask the players that are here to just say hello and introduce themselves and their character briefly, that would be fine. Can I do it in order of the character keeper? So starting with Sabine.
Hi, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I'm playing Dylan Herbst, who uses he, him pronouns. Dylan is what's called a cuckoo. He is the social kind of agent who will make friends with people, or more than friends with people, and then, well, spy on them. But he's nice.
Oh, he's a very nice chap and very fond of hats.
Oh, very fond of hats, yes.
Moving along, Stephen, say hello and tell us about Moshe Dov.
Yeah, so I'm Stephen. I use he, him pronouns. Moshe also uses he, him pronouns. He's ex-Israeli signals intelligence. He's a data analyst by trade, but he sort of developed into the drone operator of the group, as well as being the chain smoker of the group.
Yeah, to nearly every other character's slight annoyance, I feel, but we'll play with that. Pavel, say hello and tell us about Carl Smith, or Carol, as I believe I think you start using Carol.
Let's stay with Carl. It's this like this running joke about So I'm Pavel. I'm playing Carl Smith. He's a wet work specialist from Polish Special Forces GROM. He learned too much about the vampire conspiracy. His body decided to eliminate him, but he managed to survive and is now working with this group of people to bring the vampire conspiracy down. He, I believe, is the only person in the group with a big beard that he takes some pride in. And yeah, he's good at killing stuff and getting where he shouldn't, where nobody is expecting him to be. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. My pronouns are he, him, and we left it last time. Our series began with the team seeking to infiltrate a Bratva warehouse where dangerous doings were said to be going on, tracing some American arms shipments that are being diverted from Iraq for sale by the Bratva, this Russian mafia brotherhood. Having infiltrated the warehouse, the team have got separated. So Dylan dashed into one of the thousands of miles of catacombs beneath Odessa in the Ukraine. Carl and our other character, Mia, made a hasty retreat to the car that had brought them to the warehouse. And here comes Mia now. Hi, Puckett. We've just made a start. I'm just setting up where we left off. Then I'll ask you to introduce yourself and say something about Mia. Okay. Meanwhile, Moshe is in a hotel room in somewhere in Odessa, from where he's been operating drones, keeping an eye on things. And I suppose the climax of the last session was when Carl particularly encountered what he certainly takes to be a vampire, but the nature of the vampire is unclear. This vampire appears to be special forces trained and has some very strange properties, one of which is that no matter how much Carl shot him, it did not seem to slow him down. With the departure of the Bratva into their own section of the catacombs, perhaps, that vampire has retreated, allowing Carl and Mia to escape in the car. So that is the setup. I will just pause for a moment to say hello to Puckett, ask him to say hello to the world, and tell us something briefly about Mia.
Hi, I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. Mia is a snot-nosed hacker who really never seemed to grow out of her teenage phase. She just grew more determined and possibly more annoying.
Fine, that sums up perfectly. So what I want to start then is picking up immediately from where we left off. I'd like to start with Dylan. Dylan took the start. Carl started a firefight in a limestone cavern beneath the warehouse they'd infiltrated. And Dylan decided that probably discretion was the better part of valor, given that he was isolated and surrounded by Bratva thugs, and so has run into one of the tunnels. So Dylan, I need some idea of whether, as you run into the darkness, probably one of those little pen lights just flashing off the limestone walls, you will quickly determine that there are a couple of options for you. It smells like if you take some of the downward sloping tunnels, there's definitely the smell of water down there. Or do you stay on these relatively shallow subsurface tunnels?
Damn, I have no idea. I mean, water sounds, it's cold, right? Right now. So no water. Water's bad. I don't want to go swimming right now.
Okay, so you're going to continue to stay as close to the surface as you can.
Yeah, I want to get out of here, and staying close to the surface seems a better bet.
And of course, for all the team, the objective is to get back to some prearranged rendezvous, I guess. But we'll worry about the details of that in a moment. But Dylan, I'm struck by the fact that you are running through these tunnels. You know that there's a pursuit. It's not immediately behind you, cool. But it's you're hoping to outdistance that pursuit. And does this remind you of a previous occasion when you worked with one of the team, a similar circumstance where you found yourselves in this isolated kind of position? If so, could we flash back to that?
Sure, we can. I think it reminds me of the time when I was in the Paris catacombs with Carl. And back then we had made the decision to go for the water to try and reach the Seine. So that proved to be not a perfect kind of choice. I think maybe.
Well, could we have a brief two-handed flashback, please, that just could begin to throw some light on the relationship between Dylan and Carl? Over to you.
So, I guess maybe the whole thing going up in violence. Maybe they're a bit bickering because Dylan wanted to talk to these mafia mooks, and Carl said, hey, they had a machine gun, they were going to shoot you, or something like that.
Dylan, you are trusting people far too much in this business. You shouldn't trust those gangsters further than you can punch them or shoot them, because
Carl, I didn't trust the gangsters. I trusted in their greed.
Greed? Greed or no, they were going to shoot you after the deal was done. That's how they do business.
Okay, I don't know. I think the guy, what was his name? Jacques. I think he would have turned on them. I had him, Carl. I did. But of course, if somebody comes in and shoots at everybody, that didn't work out.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, guilty as charged. I admit, I was too much happy trigger. I was worried for you that they're gonna off you before I get to you.
Yeah, good, great. Wait maybe a little bit longer and see where the whole thing goes before going in guns blazing.
Hey, at least we are safe now. And Carl just like looks at his like empty clips, just like. But now I'm all empty.
And I think that at that second, Dylan pushes him into the wall and shoots into the dark, and you hear somebody give a moan or something and says, "Safe, right? Yeah. Let's go to the Seine. Yeah, right. Okay."
So I think that sewer drain is our only way out. I think whether you like swimming in the sewers or not, that's how we get there. That's how we get out.
The smell is so. Oh my God, Carl, really.
And I think probably we then see the camera following you as you go down this sewer, wading through this sewer, with maybe the suggestion of some light at the end of the tunnel. Does that seem like it gives us a feel for the relationship?
Yeah.
And I think given that we saw Dylan then talking about how he prefers to talk his way out of situations and Carl's inclination to shoot things, I think that counts as priming both your training. So would you mark that? Okay. Let me cut now then to Mia and Carl. You escaped from the basement level of the warehouse back to the car. You got a signal from Moshe from one of his drones saying that there are some police cars coming. You have already come across evidence that the police are in the Lisky Bratva's pocket. And now there are 3 police cars streaming out of downtown Odessa towards the factory. So I now want to cut to Carl and Mia in the car. Tell me where you're going.
I don't think the rendezvous point was the motel room that Moshe's been operating out of. That seems a little too obvious, and if that place gets burned because of his, so many backtracks, his signals. I think we had a safe house set up in a really lousy part of town. The part of town where the cops just don't go because they really don't care about what happens there because there's nobody with enough money there that they should care about. So, it's like a little rundown apartment building, probably have a room in the back or a shed in the back where we're all supposed to group up.
Okay.
There's probably some fake IDs and whatnot in there.
So what's the conversation? What's the conversation I hear in the car?
Pavel, you started to say something?
Yes, I wanted to add a detail that our hideout is one level above some like local food, a local that serves Ukrainian food for like factory workers or for like dock workers. It's
Okay.
like really cheap dining point, and we are just like one level above with all the stink from the kitchen.
So lots of people coming and going, hard to keep track of who's who.
Yeah, a better cover for us.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, you are the 2 who encountered the vampire. What conversation do we hear about that as you make a dash for this safe house?
Feels like old times, doesn't it, Pavel? And this is basically how we met.
Oh yeah, you must. I still remember this fanged beast that was trying to drain me in this nightclub in Prague. But I was like never expecting such a nice fine lady to have fangs. It was really good that you hacked her ID and knew that she wasn't. You saved my ass at the last moment there.
Well, I mean, I had come to you earlier in the day asking for some help on an issue that I figured that it's like I was trying to keep you in the dark about it. I didn't want to like drag you in if I didn't have to, but she did it for me, so I didn't have to. That was when you realized vampires are real, and I was there hunting vampires, regardless of what the hell the CIA said I was there for.
Yeah, have you said something? I now wouldn't have this like massive scar, and we see like 2 fangs. There's like a scar over here, just like going. Have you told me I would be able to like play it better than almost being like fine and having this scar? Like this stuff never heals,
Carl,
not from that kind of vampire.
Carl, listen. listen to me, okay? Speaking, I want to make sure you understand this. Chicks dig scars. I think those scars are hot.
I prefer beards. Why do you think I have this beard? I have this beard to cover this massive scar. And besides,
I thought you just did it because you were too lazy to shave.
No, it's part of the cover. Besides, I have a wife, and I don't need some random chicks. Like yeah.
I bet your wife would dig it if you just told her. Hi, honey. See these scars? Yeah, I got them fighting vampires. No big. It's what I do in my spare time. You know how it is. We all have to have our hobbies.
You like keeping your coworkers in the dark. I'd rather keep my wife in the dark that vampires don't really exist, because that way at least she can live some safe life and not like me living in some like black holes. And
Carl, none of us are safe. I mean, the least you could do is let her know that her husband isn't just some schlub with a really big beard. You could let him know that he's a kick-ass. You could let her know that he's a kick-ass vampire hunter who stakes motherfuckers when they need it. I mean, that's kind of hot. I bet she'd feel more protected.
Okay, tell me, how do you picture her reaction? I come home. I see she's reading Twilight. I think the third book came out recently, and I come to her and say, "Hey, honey, so I have this secret life. I kill vampires." And she says, "No, Edward, no." How do you picture this?
Well, since she's with you, I'm guessing she's probably Team Jacob anyway, because look at that beard, for Christ's sake. And if she's putting up with that, listen, I'm just going to say, I think she'd roll more with the werewolves than with the bloodsuckers. That's all. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay,
You're not some sparkly Twinkie boy.
Because I know you like keeping stuff to each other, so just plain simple answers. We know the vampires are real. Are the werewolves they're real as well?
The vampires are real?
Be honest with me.
That I think is a
lovely
good
neighborhood
point.
we're driving through.
I think on that. So a werewolf's real then? So I think that's a good point to go scene on that one. Because I want to cut back to Moshe. Moshe, I just noticed that I'm still holding 5 complications on Moshe. So as you are observing from the drone, Mia and Carl escaping from the warehouse, it's not clear where Dylan is, because Dylan is now out of comms deep in the catacombs. A little red light just begins to flash in the corner of your screen. It's the route through to the hotel lobby cameras that you set up. What do you do?
So, isn't there a police car that Moshe just noticed pulling up toward the warehouse?
There were 3 police cars racing out of downtown Odessa towards the warehouse, and Mia and Carl are shortly going to need to find some way to get past them. But I'm more worried about that red light in the corner of your screen at this point.
Okay, so he flicks over to the cameras in the lobby of the hotel,
and he'll see. I'm going to burn 3 of your complications to have 3 men in dark suits. And as one of them reaches for the elevator button to come up to your floor, the sleeve pulls back, and you notice the classic Bratva prison tattoos on his forearm. What do you do?
So Moshe takes one last drag on his cigarette. He grabs his laptop and begins to scramble for the window. And behind him, he trips the thermite grenade that he's got set up in the room to burn everything else in there. So he's trying to scramble for the door while he's still using the Wi-Fi from the hotel, so he can still check on the rest of the team.
So literally he's running down the corridor to the stairs away from the elevator with his laptop flipped up, a bag of other stuff. making for the fire exit stairs, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
So let's see how good you are at that, Moshe. Would you roll move for me?
Yeah. One plus, one minus. And my move is now a 3.
Oh, 3. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yeah. We've done quite a bit of shuffling about with these. Okay. So I don't think you get to those stairs before the lift doors at the far end of the corridor behind you sweep open and 3 men in dark suits step out. And I'm going to give them one chance to shoot at you before you dive into the fire through the fire exit. I think, unless you've got another option, I'm thinking it's move again to just avoid the shots they're going to hit you with.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. So I'll try to go for the nearly unattainable 3.
Indeed. Remember that we've tweaked the rules so you can burn stress to improve rolls.
I think you can make an argument of providing cover fire for yourself while retreating, so therefore roll shoot if you want to.
You could try to roll shoot first. Try and keep their heads down, and then use any advantages from shoot to enhance your move.
Yeah, I think I'll do that because I think it is in keeping with him to turn and let off a burst from the Uzi at the door. So he got a plus and 2 minuses. His shoot's a 1, so he actually did make that.
Yeah, and I think the intention here is to disrupt them.
Right.
Yeah, because you're not going to kill many of them with that. So they scatter against the side walls. But you would need another plus to have an advantage to throw at move. Do you push yourself and burn one stress to turn one of those minuses into a plus?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll do that.
You could burn 2 stress and turn 2 of them into pluses if you wanted to, and then you'd have already 2 pluses on your move.
I'll do that. I'll do that just for dramatic effect.
Absolutely. So this
because the GM said so.
So yeah, the GM just wants to see if this makes a difference. So Moshe throws himself at the fire exit, takes a bit of a buffeting, and now rolls to move. But you know that you can change 2 of the dice you get to the pluses that you've accumulated.
Oh wow! 3 pluses.
So you rolled 3. You could improve the one that wasn't a plus with the advantage to get 4. So you get through there and you are escaping from them. You take away 1 fictional advantage from that, which is that they're afraid you're going to shoot out the door. And you still have 1 advantage coming out of this. So you have 1 plus in hand somewhere in this pursuit. Okay?
Okay, works for me.
Okay. So is the black van in the basement car park?
Yeah, I think it's in the basement car park.
So we see you kind of there's that shot from above as you run down the stairwell and burst out into the car park.
Yeah, and this whole time he's still got that laptop cradled in his arm, trying to watch the rest of the team and still coordinate their movements.
I think that's probably where that remaining plus goes, because trying to keep that going while racing away from Bratva assassins is probably worth an advantage, I think.
That'll work. Does he see the police doing anything? Are they?
I think that what I'll allow you to do is to pass that plus to Mia and Carl to help them avoid the police. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're in the black van and driving away, unless you've got something else in mind.
Nope, that's exactly what he wants to do. He's got the laptop now in the passenger seat, and he's still trying to watch and drive at the same time.
Okay. I'll go straight back to Carl and Mia. Which one of you is driving, by the way?
I'm pretty sure Carl is.
Yeah.
Okay. So Carl, you can you've had a feed from Moshe before he has to shut down and drive away, telling you where the police are on your sat nav. So how do you intend to avoid being intercepted by these police who are in the pay of the Bratva by the look of it?
Can you remind me in what kind of district we are?
You're driving out of that rundown industrial sector where the abandoned warehouse was, back towards the docks, I think, because I think what you told me was that your safe house apartment is above a cheap cafe for dock workers. Yeah.
Yes. So thanks to good intel from Moshe, we know how the cars have spread and that they are like kind of going to the warehouse by different routes. So we see a very classic spy movie. We are driving, and I think, have we described what we are driving? Is it like a black BMW or is it some nondescript sedan?
I think it's more likely to be a nondescript sedan, given that you were using it to trail the truck.
Cool. So I think we are driving, the cops are driving, and the car just like takes left and like gets in some small alleyway between the buildings, and just as he turns, we see the police car going from up ahead from around the corner, and just like driving by. Carl hope is that he can like hide really well, because the cops are probably like just driving forward and not looking to the side, so hiding from them is the best way to just let them pass and not engage.
So you're pitching at conceal, not drive. So this isn't a car chase. This is careful disguise. Yeah.
If someone votes and wants car chase, I'm up for it. But that's how I'm picturing it.
Well, let's assume you won't have a car chase unless you fail this conceal roll.
That's fair. Wow, it's a ballet of death. 2 pluses and two minuses. Okay,
so your conceal is 1, so you have succeeded. And you've got 1 in hand you can use. You've also got the plus that Moshe passed on to you. And I think because I used up a lot of your complications last time, I'm going to stock up those 2 negatives as complications for later. So you have 2 pluses in hand. Do you have any plans of what you want to do with that?
Not much, except for passing them on to our lost team member Dylan. So my idea is that we actually stop under like the building where we see the cellular antenna, cellular for a phone network antenna, and I just like say to Mia, well, I think we can take a moment since Dylan is lost. Maybe you can hack this antenna and help us somehow locate Dylan and help him get out from this underground, because I get the bad feeling that there are like miles of those corridors, and with without GPS, and we should find him before the vampires do.
All right. So I got 1 plus on that and 2 minuses, and I'll take 2 stress to turn those minuses into pluses.
I have 2 spare pluses that I can pass to you, that I placed you right under the antenna. So because so 1 plus to be under the antenna, and I can pass on to you the plus I got from Moshe, because I have an extra 1.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I have 3 pluses and a blank.
Which is just perfect, because I'm assuming you're using hack here, Mia.
Yes.
So you hack, and you've got 2 pluses in the pool. Let me cut to Dylan. Dylan, I'm going to offer you some options. Cool. as to which obstacles you prefer to have a go to get past. 1, your torch goes out.
Mm-hmm.
2, you encounter a wall that looks like it's about to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
You find a large gallery in which a number of drunken vagrants are sleeping.
Oh,
yeah,
cool! I'll take that one.
Well, I've got one more to offer you.
Oh well, okay.
A mysterious underground cinema showing horror movies.
Oh, nice. No, I take the I think I'll take the vagrants because I mean these are people. This is not an obstacle. This is an opportunity. Because I mean I was in these tunnels for a bit, so I might be a little dirty, and I'll rough myself up a bit, rub some dirt into my 3 days beard or 5 days beard, so it looks a bit darker, and I will then wake one of them up. Hey, you know how to get out of here? I had a weird night, and hey, man, help me, please help me out. I need to get out of here. I need to, these walls, they're coming at me. They're coming at me. Please help me get out of here. Yeah.
Okay. I think that sounds like a very straightforward talk soft.
Yes, I think so too.
This is a real test of the dice room.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've got 2 pluses, so yeah, I've got an advantage.
Already, this is a better game. So that's success. I think I will stock up that complication because I need to start accumulating them again. What do you want to do with your bonus plus? And remember, you have 2 more bonuses.
I do?
From because one more bonus that Mia's passed on to you through her hacking of the system. So you might just begin to get some signal.
Yeah, I really want to get these guys maybe out of here. No, I have no idea that there's a vampire here. So, still. Yeah, I will start talking about these bad people that I saw and maybe try to get these people to get out of here because A, I don't want the bad people to hurt them. B, I don't want the bad people to ask them about me and where I was going. So, yeah. I
think that's really cool. Because certainly you know that there is a pursuit behind you somewhere.
Exactly. That's why I don't want these people to be in the way of that pursuit. So
with this babushka's help, you wake the people up and they're mostly out of their heads on very cheap, industrial spirit. But you shepherd them in a direction that one of them has said, we go this way.
I'll just leave them to run for their own on their own because I'm not their babysitter, but just to give them a heads up that there's somebody coming. I will go then, and I will use one of these advantages to come out next to a laundry because I need clothes. This will not stand. I will not go out like dirty and I want to steal some clothes. So
fine. So we find you next to the rear entrance on a back lane, an alley to an all-night laundry. Mm-hmm. So what do we see you doing, Dylan?
Yeah, get in, get some clothes, get out.
That sounds like steal to me.
Yeah, can I use infiltrate to get in?
I think that there's no trouble you getting in because you're good at that stuff. I think that the point at which narrative, dramatically you could get caught is when you try to lift some clothes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go with steal then. Oh yeah, I've got 2 pluses. Wow, this is a good dice room.
It's an entirely different game when pluses appear on the dice.
Yeah.
It is one of its weaknesses that this game relies on the dice a lot. So you come away with, well, you tell me, what do we see Dylan wearing as he steps out from behind some bins?
I think it's a bit a suit. I think, yeah, some summer suit. It fits. Of course it does, because this is cinematic, and it's a suit. All that is missing is a hat. He doesn't have the pluses, so no hat, but it will come.
So he has a suit, And that's the point when he gets a ping on the phone that allows him to home in on the secure signal that Mia has set up for him. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I saunter over there.
And unless any of you want to do something with where you are now to the safe house, I'm inclined to cut to the safe house as we see Moshe finally driving away from the hotel, and there's a kind of out of the window of the room. Yeah. And then we're back at the safe house where you may want to discuss what's happened to you.
I think we need to establish what happened with the body of some soldier that was in the coffin. Have we burned it down on our way out? Did we take the coffin with us?
No. If you remember, Carl took a pot shot at this man who you saw. You saw this man with a bunch of Bratva thugs, armed thugs, over the body of that American soldier that they managed to spirit out of Iraq. Mm-hmm. And he appeared to be trying to feed some liquid intravenously into the body. That's the point when you tried to get a shot at him. What we take to be his vampire minder got in the way. And what Dylan saw happen was he retreated very quickly with a bodyguard of Bratva into one of the other tunnels. So the coffin with the American soldier in, and this kind of canister of material that he was using for an IV drip was all whisked away into the catacomb somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. I think Carl just gets into the safe house, and we see he disarms the grenade trap at the entrance, and then he gets in it and he takes out one pistol, second pistol, Uzi, knife, something else, and he just turns to the others and says, "Well, that went to hell really fast. Didn't expect such an easy fight on two of the fangs."
Moshe is leaning up against the back of his van, and you see you hear this whirring, and one of his surveillance drone just sort of flies into the back of the van and lands. And he sits back and looks over at Dylan and says, "You look ridiculous," as he's smoking this thing.
In what way do I look ridiculous?
Where did you get that?
Laundry. I mean, I think it's looking quite pretty, actually. And he puts on a hat and says, "Hey, doesn't that fit quite well?"
Well, you look dressed and ready to meet the Lisky Bratva boss.
Yeah.
I wish we knew where to find the guy.
Yes, well, I didn't have the choice. Was some grungy jeans and heavy metal t-shirts and this. So
Mia, you've seen this commando, some ex-Spetsnaz guy. What are your thoughts? Bullets didn't seem to do him good. He reacted slightly to the garlic water. Any ideas how to take down this guy if we run into him again?
I have some ideas, but I need more information because normally, well, in the past anyway, that bioweapon does quite a bit more than just distract them. And it seems like this was mostly just a distraction for this dude. So I need to do a little bit more research.
Can I offer a slight retcon, because Mia did suggest something to Carl when he was in the tunnel, and I kind of scotched it. And I think it would be rather interesting at this point if we flash back to the point where Mia shouts at Carl, "Stake the bastard," And Carl actually did stake the bastard, and it had no effect at all. Just to put another dot on the data table.
Good with that.
Yeah, I think we see Carl take out the stake, and I think we see it's like metal core with like wooden on the outside, and we see. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what can I say it, but we see like from the stake we take out like an ampoule with the blood of the guy I staked, and I say, well, at least it didn't work, but at least you have some samples to run your research.
Well, I mean, there's samples, and we've ruled out. I mean, I prefer to think of it as not as a failure, but as a discovery. We discovered a way not to kill them.
Yeah. Have you tried fire?
Well, we could also try explosives. Pretty much everything explodes. But,
Well,
realistically, I'd like to make a little less noise than burning down a city or, blowing up a city.
Yeah, I thought maybe we could drench this guy with gasoline and set him on fire and see how he reacts.
Fuel air explosives, bold. I like where your head's at. We might want to try a couple of other things before that, though.
well,
But I like where your head's at. I like your ideas.
Can I ask Carl to roll treat?
for what reason?
Because you're one of the closest we have to someone with proper medical experience. So I'm interested in what you make of what's come out of the vampire with the stake.
Okay, so because because I like some fictional positioning, I think we actually see Carl like open one of the suitcase, and we see some home medical lab something. He boots up the like analyzer, divides the blood sample into like few of them, and he puts them into this like machine that spins the blood. I have no idea for what, but it looks cool, and we see he does it. So yeah, let's find out what Carl himself can find out. One plus, one minus.
His treat is 1. So I'm going to stock up that complication for later, and simply tell you that there is no blood on the stake. When you look at it under a lens, you will see fragments of dead tissue, but no blood. And that fits now that you think back to it, because you pumped quite a lot of shots into him, both at long range and then short range. And there was no blood spatter. There was you didn't notice any dampness on the front of those coveralls he was wearing. This appears to be bloodless. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing I want to remind you of, just in case you've forgotten, was that there was a very peculiar phenomenon just before, because the vamp was on the down below Carl, 20 feet down in this large kind of chamber, limestone chamber that he was looking down on. And after you tried to shoot the doctor, inverted commas, and the vamp got in the way, there was a fraction of time that both you and Dylan experienced, which was that it was almost like time was interrupted, like stop motion. First of all, he was down there at the bottom of the cavern, and then he's in your face. And at the same time, Dylan noticed that his phone rebooted. And now that you share that, you will find out that Mia's phone rebooted shortly after that, while Moshe's drone, which was in the tunnel at that point, cut out. So there's something very odd going on in terms of the vampire's activity and something to do with your electronics.
I have no idea what this means, but I've heard, at least, and this was in a novel, right, that magic disrupts technology. But I have no idea if there is such a thing as magic. I mean, I know there's vampires, so there might be magic, but it could be a Doctor Who thing. Who knows?
Would this be a time, Mia, when you're, we're using your know as the equivalent of vampirology?
Most likely.
Go for it.
That is 1 plus, a blank, and 2 minuses.
Well, your know is 1.
Yeah.
So there is a Russian legend about creatures called Zalozhiny. It's a corpse dead before its time, and there are some reports from after the war that somebody got out of the Soviet Union and got into the hands of the CIA that suggested that there was more to this than a legend, and that these things were able, because they were dead out of time, time behaved differently around them. I think that's all I can give you for the basic success. And I'm about to store up those two minuses for complications later, unless you tell me different.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Okay. Is there anything else you want to ask yourselves, i.e., me, about events that as they relate to this creature?
So who has the highest fix now?
I really think that Stephen should go ahead and take fix just because of the drones. I think what I'm going to wind up doing is be more on the ground, like actually in the shit. So I'll keep no at 1, and I'm going to shift. I'm going to shift a couple of stats around. So
okay, that's fine with me.
That's fine. That's fine. There is some logic for Moshe being able to fix these drones as well as fly them. Well, then
I asked this because I wanted to ask a follow-up question.
Oh.
And just to point out, Moshe, you probably want to change your trademark then, unless you really want to keep it to no. So in this case, I would look at Moshe and says, so now that we talked about this creature, do you think you can build something that I can use to stop it next time we encounter it? Because something tells me that now there will be 2 of them. This body in the coffin somehow speaks to me that there will be 2 of them now. So we really need something to stop them. I don't know. Heavy fragmentation bullets. Maybe the explosive bullets you built for me last time, or I don't know, whatever else.
How intelligent are these things anyway? I mean, can we set a trap? We don't want to burn down a city, fine, but we can burn down some landscape, maybe? Or so how intelligent are they?
Based on what went on, Carl, what do you think?
And what is the question?
How intelligent are these
How clever
things?
is this thing?
Excuse me, you said both. You were speaking both at the same time. How intelligent those things are? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was more a question to Mia, actually, because they were fighting, and if somebody's trigger happy and attacks, that doesn't mean it's not intelligent. And I'm looking at Carl here.
Is it a pun at me? Like, I remember what you told me in Paris.
I'm just saying that you are intelligent, so this is no judgment.
If I may, at that point, I'd like to have. I think it is probably Moshe's phone ring, because I think that the person on the other end will know who is most likely to be in a hotel room somewhere. And on the other end of the line is Donald Carroll. And Carroll is clearly doing stuff while speaking into the phone. And he's saying, you're blown, I'm blown. They're on to me. We're being buzzed by a helicopter up here at my place. Marta, get the bag. They cut the power to the house a few minutes ago. I'm on my way. And then there's a kind of on gravel, a door slams, and you hear an engine start, Moshe. Tires squeal, taking a corner at speed. You know that his Dasher is up there on a hill above Odessa. You know the road up there is windy, and he's taking those turns at speed while Marta, his Russian girlfriend, is screaming. And he says, listen, I've got a safe house in Vienna. They won't follow us there. It's neutral territory. If you get to Vienna and I'm not there, check the airport. Left luggage locker, 827. Okay, oh shit! There's a loud bang, then a smash as the car runs into something. You can hear tires blowing, maybe even the car is rolling, I don't know. And then there's quiet, but the phone is clearly still on. And there's a pause, and then his phone reboots. And that's the last thing you hear is the signal of the phone rebooting. And then it goes dead.
So Moshe turns around and he throws the phone to me and he says, I think they got Donald.
I think Carl instinctively just like grabs the rifle from the table and just like approaches the window, and as we see on the movie, we just like politely moves the curtain a little bit, take like a stock on what's the outside, and then checks the other window the same way.
I think that I can tell Carl, because he's been in these kind of situations before, if they're on to Donald, if they've got Donald, it's only a matter of time before they have you. Odessa is no longer safe.
Yeah, Dylan's packing, grabbing his stuff. It's packed already. So, and looks at the others and says, so do we go now? Do you see anything, Carl?
Drop your phones in this wastebasket.
I am lost. Just like jumping from city to city seems weird. We just came here. I don't know.
Well, now we're leaving here.
Well,
and the lead we have is getting to Vienna.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, we want to make sure they don't follow us. So drop your phones in this basket. I'm going to burn them.
I've dropped my phone into the basket so that Mia can burn them.
Moshe already threw the phone to Mia, so.
If I can remind you of your briefing, you were warned that Odessa is the center of the Bratva's operations in Eastern Europe. While you're in Odessa, it is only a matter of time.
Yeah, I remember that's what they said. Let's go. Vienna's nice.
It's lovely at this time of year.
It's lovely at all times of year.
So you are here at Odessa. Vienna is all the way over here. So you have Moldova, Romania, Hungary, maybe Slovakia between you and it. Who is likely to know an Eastern European fixer?
Figure it'd be Pavel for me, maybe.
Is that Carl?
I don't know all kinds of people, though.
I think that's possible, but I think Dylan is much more likely. He is the people person.
And Poland is quite out of the way. I mean, it's in the north, and Bratislava is in the south. Or Slovakia. Where are we? What's the country? Sorry.
You are currently in Ukraine.
Ukraine, right? That's in the south. It's a pretty long way away from Poland, where I think Karl is from.
Yeah, well, Krakow is here.
Yeah, I know where Poland is.
Okay. So, Dylan or Karl? Dylan.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Dylan, you do know someone in, well, it's kind of Moldova. There's a funny slice of Moldova on the eastern side of I think it's the Dniester River, which is called Transnistria. Technically, it's a region of Moldova. In practice, it is largely independent and kind of peculiarly stateless. When the Soviet Union came apart, there was a Soviet army based in Moldova, and they stayed on that side of the river in what is now called Transnistria, to, inverted commas, keep the country safe. And so Transnistria is a peculiarly stateless, bureaucratless place. And you know a fixer there who goes by the name of Mr. Happy. And what I'd really like you to do, Dylan, while I talk about Mr. Happy, or ask the others what they're going to do, is, yeah, there you can see it. This shaded area here on the eastern border of Moldova is Transnistria. The capital Transnistria is Tiraspol, and that's where Mr. Happy hangs out. But I'd be very keen, Dylan, for you to have a look at the image gallery and see if you want to pick out Mr. Happy for us for later use. And you will find that map in the operation tab. So Dylan knows Mr. Happy. Mr. Happy operates across the boundary between the law and illegality. Tiraspol is about a 90-minute drive from Odessa. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm telling you about this guy I know who lived there and might help us get to Vienna with little trouble.
His legit front is he runs a cleaning service in the city of Tiraspol.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this: I, as a player, have disconnect from the game right now because I have no idea what we are supposed to do, and we are not active. We are like pushed along by something, and we either go after Bratva, meaning we are trying to hide here where the Bratva capital is, or just hard frame us to us doing something in wherever else. Because I think the problem, why we would go there? Is there a lead that is moving us there? Why? It's
okay. Okay, let me be clear. Narratively, you have been told Odessa is Bratva territory. Your only contact in Odessa has been taken by them. Yeah?
Okay.
Odessa is no longer safe for you.
Yeah, this is
You
like
can
a James
stay,
Bond movie.
but I want to make narratively clear that is the circumstance.
Yeah, I feel this is like a James Bond movie where we do something in a city and then we've done that and then we go to another city because that's where the trail leads us.
And the trail leads us to Vienna and that locker at the airport.
So you're going to have to travel through Moldova or get out on a plane.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm see where I'm getting. Yeah, I guess. I guess I will just mute myself.
Does that seem narratively reasonable? So, I think I am inclined to cut to Tirsapol, unless you have something you want to do on the way, guys. Dylan, what's Mr. Happy's favorite restaurant?
I think it's a Greek one. It's next to the laundry shop, and it's a real Greek one run by people who came from Greece some time ago, and they make they make the real stuff. I mean, I'm only familiar with Greek restaurants, but
okay.
Well.
Have you got a preference for the image of Mr. Happy?
Yes, I have written it down. It's the guy who looks like Mr. Smith from Matrix.
Oh yes, yes, fine. Let me pop him up. Oh yes, so you have. So Mr. Happy, you'd have to say looks anything but happy. But yeah, so this is the man who enters through the back of the Greek restaurant after a telephone call from Dylan. Yeah. And he looks at you, Dylan, as if to say, what shit have you brought to my doorstep, Dylan?
I look at him and I grin and I say, hey, Mr. Happy, nice to see you.
Yeah, and we both know that's not true, Dylan. Why are you here?
I've seen very many worse things than you, my dear Mr. Happy, but we need to get to Vienna. So we'll be out of your hair. You just have to give us a little push.
Who's after you?
Who's not?
Oh, no, Dylan, no, that doesn't fly. You wouldn't come to me if you were not up to your neck in shit after the last time we met.
Yeah, it's true.
So who's going to turn up on my doorstep after you?
Oh, probably nobody. I don't think we left a large trail, and anyway, what would they do here?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're lucky. You know, Transnistria operates as a kind of little black hole for this kind of stuff. So if they are behind you, maybe this buys you some time. But only if I let you stay, Dylan.
Yeah, please. Come on. Make it worth your time.
Let's have a meal. Introduce me to your friends.
Yes. Okay. I will do that.
And I think there's a, you know, you will have whatever particular variety of Greek or Transnistrian Greek that you really want. And he says, so you need my help. What exactly do you need from me, Dylan?
Well, I'm telling you what we need. I'm not a spy. I have no idea what I would need to secretly get from Ukraine or Transnistria to Vienna.
Well, let's start with papers that whoever is behind
I think I have papers. I mean, we're all spies. We should have fake papers, shouldn't we?
Yeah, possibly. Just saying. From what you've described, Ukraine is hot for you. So if you have Ukrainian papers, don't know. But okay, put that to one side. Presumably you'd like anyone who comes to Tirsapol saying, have you seen Dylan Herbst? And I say, who, me? No.
Yes, that would be rather lovely.
Yeah, that's what you need from me.
And what we need is transportation without a paper trail, I guess.
Yeah, because someone will have spotted that black van crossing the border, won't they? Okay, Dylan, what's it worth?
Well, do I have money? I mean, as a player.
You were given some seed money by Commander Leonard.
So I will offer him, let's say, a reasonable sum.
I think
And
the trouble is quite a lot of that went in the safe house and the car and the equipment. So when you kind of offer him what's left, it's not really going to cut it for Happy.
Okay.
What about payment in kind, Dylan?
Yeah. What do you want?
I'm a director of FC Tirsopol, and the fact is that we are small potatoes compared to the city's big club, which is FC Sheriff. FC Sheriff have just bought this remarkable Nigerian prodigy. He's like 17 and his feet are golden. And tomorrow night, he will make his debut for FC Sheriff in a friendly match against my team, FC Tirsopol.
And if that Nigerian was hungover and really exhausted, that might make your team victorious.
It would certainly make us more likely to be victorious, Dylan.
Yes,
and it would also put a dear old friend of mine, Mr. Victor Goussan, back in his box, because he's a director of FC Sheriff and he is telling everyone how well they've done to get this kid. So I tell you what, I'll do what I can between now and tomorrow's match. And if you wanted to come and meet me here for a meal at, say, when will we be finished? Maybe 9-10 p.m. tomorrow night? I'm sure I'll be able to help you. If you can help me, Dylan.
Of course.
And at that, he'll get up and he'll leave a folded newspaper on the table between you. And the big story on the front of that is a story about this footballer. Yeah? What are we thinking?
Yeah.
Do we know if the footballer's straight or gay? Or bi? Or ace? Or
the article, as you skim the article, it's a double-page spread. This is the biggest thing to happen in Tirsopol for 2 years. And I think that probably what you will discover is that he's 17 going on 18. He's been brought out of Nigeria, where his family was very poor. The article talks about how he's finding the whole, the excitement of being in Europe, the incredible nightlife of Tirsopol, which after your brief drive through suggests that his bar is pretty low. There are pictures of him playing keepy up with a football in a garden with a big hedge around it. There are pictures of this luxury villa where he's living, which shows you all the rooms. There's a swimming pool, there's a fitness room, it's just palatial. And finally, there's this picture of him waving off the journalist. And behind him, you can see two minders in sports clothes. It tells you a lot about him. It doesn't tell you about his sexual predilections. It doesn't tell you where the villa is.
He's 17, so I think we might make do with, hey, I'm a good, hey, let's be buddies. I know the scene. Let's go. And then we can see where that goes. But we need to get rid of those minders.
Let me see what I can find.
Yeah, please do.
What I'm interested in doing is getting a sense of what obstacles you think you're going to have to overcome to make this happen.
We got to get the minders out of the way.
Okay, obstacle 1, minders.
We are going to have to...
Hang on. Mia's given me one. Moshe, give me an obstacle.
Minders is a good one. I think he's religious, like really religious.
Okay, and how is that going to play into an obstacle you can overcome?
It's going to reduce any seduction attempts. It's also going to mean that he might not drink or imbibe
Okay, so
alcohol.
there's a straight-lacedness about him. Yeah, I like that. Carl, give me an obstacle you think you're going to have to overcome.
I have to ask, what is Minder? Is it like a bodyguard?
Bodyguard, yeah.
Basically, people to keep him out of trouble and to keep trouble away from him, and make sure that he doesn't wind up with somebody that he shouldn't be or start snorting lines or whatever.
Mechanically, in the system as written, these are intended to give you each character an opportunity to be a key part of overcoming the obstacle. So in part, it's about looking at your skill sets and thinking about, well, what obstacle would allow me to have that spotlight? Yeah. I'll come back to Carl. Dylan, what are you thinking?
As an obstacle, I mean, we have the miners, we have those, the fact that he is he Christian religion or Muslim religion?
I think that's a good question for Nigeria. Moshe, what's your preference?
I think he's Christian.
Okay. Then he can drink alcohol, which is nice. Obstacle. Maybe he's been told that it's really dangerous to go out into the city without, well, proper bodyguards, and his ears have been filled on how dangerous this whole city is for a Nigerian kid. So
he's not only straight-laced, but he's careful. Fair?
He's suspicious. I don't think he's really careful. But
suspicious yeah, much better. Much better. Okay, Carl. I am conscious that I did go out of my way to say that you don't know where the villa is.
I am, again, sorry to be the bummer. We are sending super spies after a 17-year-old. Like, Carl is just like sitting there and waiting and saying, so how did this kid connect to the Bratva cartel? Is he sponsored by them? Is the club owned by Bratva by Lisky cartel? Like,
what's your rationale for helping Mr. Happy out, Dylan?
That he will give us a car that is untraceable, or some train passes, or stuff like that, or maybe even a plane. Maybe he can get us on a plane, which would make the whole trip to Vienna a lot safer. That would be my rationale, but I kind of see Pavel's point, though. I mean,
we're doing a favor for a guy who's going to get us out of here clean and without traces.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of nice, but yeah. I'm willing to play this. It's fine.
The only idea that I have, such a guy needs regular, probably care of a fitness trainer, and I'm not sure if it's an obstacle or an opportunity. Basically, if his fitness trainer is out of action because he left town for whatever occasion, and we can somehow let them contact the fitness trainer who is mysteriously in town for the weekend and is well known on the, I don't know, fitness area, they can hire me so I can get there. I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with.
So he doesn't. So an obstacle would be there are not many people close to him other than the minders and the fitness trainer, because that narrows your options in terms of lines of approach. That's a reasonable obstacle. Yeah. So the simple approach now is how do you overcome the obstacles and make sure he doesn't play football tomorrow night?
He can play football. He should just play badly.
So what's your thinking, Dylan, about how you can ensure he plays badly?
Yeah, well, get him to party until morning, and maybe have his fitness trainer slightly make some, give his tendons maybe more of a twist than strictly healthy.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, well, we're spies. We're not in the nice business.
Absolutely not. So where do you want to start this operation?
I think we need to start with getting Carl in there.
So to get Carl in there as a replacement fitness trainer, you're going to have to find there and get the usual fitness trainer out of the picture. Yeah? So
Yes.
Where do you begin?
I think, oh my God, if I start doing it, it won't work completely, but hell, let's give it a try. We see Carl just like start browsing internet at the marvelous speed that is available in our place of stay. There must be some kind of photo with his fitness trainer at some occasion, made by a paparazzi or something. And or maybe just like check the page of the club, because they might say who they are like affiliated with, what trainers and nurses they work with, and then it would be just like simply. I suppose I can say that this country is not yet digital, so probably there is a phone book in the phone booth, because we are so far in the third world.
Yeah, it must be said that Tirsopol doesn't have great infrastructure, but I think probably checking out one of the few web pages that is really, really plush is indeed the FC Sheriff one, and the head of their fitness department, their physiotherapy, their treatment team is a man called Dmitry Losov. Yeah. So you now have a name for the fitness trainer, Dmitry. What do we do with it?
We sick our hackers on him to find out where he is.
Paging Mia.
Been wondering when somebody was going to ask me to do something. Here, let me see what I can pull up for you. All right, there's one plus and one minus. So, do you want to know where he is right now or where he's going to be in the next hour?
I need some time to take out to steal some car and then to drive there and put him into the trunk. So I prefer where he is in 1 hour.
In an hour. Okay. Well, his doesn't have good security on his phone. Schedule says he's going to be leaving this upscale gym in an upscale part of the city in an hour and a half after his workout. It's leg day. He's not going to be able to run too fast.
Yeah. So you know where he's going to be. And I'm just going to stock up that minus, Mia, for a complication later.
Of course you will.
What's the plan, Carl?
The plan is get there, tail the guy as he's going to his car, then twist his hand as he's getting into the car, put him into the trunk, tape his mouth, tape his hands, take him on the ride somewhere where he won't die because this isn't like kill and hide, because this isn't like this reason, but he mysteriously vanishes and is dumped in the forest 50 kilometers away from the city without his cell phone.
Yeah, give the cell phone to Mia, maybe, and then you can pretend to be his best old buddy, and he had to leave and send you instead.
I'm very happy for that to boil down to a simple fight, unless you have a better plan, Carl.
I'm totally fine with this. Yeah, let's... It's a single plus and all blanks.
Well, that's the perfect success, isn't it? So, so you leave this man in woodland outside the town. You have his car, you have his phone, you have his equipment. So bear all that in mind when we move to the next stage, because you've got minders, straight-laced, and suspicious as your obstacles. So, so we have an inn, we think. But what are you going to do with the inn, guys?
Yeah, then we have an inn. We need to get this. What's the kid's name?
Igwe Abisoli.
Okay, we got to get Igwe out.
So you still, at this point, don't know where he is.
Huh. Yeah.
One moment.
Yeah, but all the better. You can just call him and tell him to come to the gym. We know where the gym is.
The training place you would normally expect him to work either at this very flash gym in the middle of town or at the FC Sheriff Stadium. But Mia, do you want to just see what you can do with his phone?
Of course. All right, I'm going to take a stress to change that minus to a plus.
So you have all his contacts, you have his diary, you have Abisoli's mobile number. So how are we going to turn all of that into getting Abisoli to the right place at the right time? Because he's suspicious.
I suppose we flashback a little bit to Carl leaving the Dimitri in the forest, and before he does so, we see Carl just like standing next to him with the phone set to recording, and he says, "Listen, I don't really have to say much. Just like tell those 10 lines into your phone, and I will just like leave you here, and I will flashback here so that we have like a voice sample, and someone can like make like a mixer, and then we see like Dylan just like with this like phone and the mixer on it, just like calling, and like it will sound like Dimitri." I think that's our approach. It sounds like
yeah, I like that a lot. I think that somewhere between Mia's hack and Moshe's fix, we can certainly do that. So this is going to come down to how convincing Dylan is when Abisoli picks up and hears Dimitri's voice. So what do we hear you telling Abisoli when you get through to him, Dylan?
Yeah, I will tell him that I think he should come down to the gym because this is the night, kid, before the game. So come down to the gym. We have stuff to talk about and things to train.
Okay. Let's that sounds like talk soft rather than hard, or are you going harder?
No,
Dylan?
I'm not going hard unless I need to.
Okay.
I mean, if he remains suspicious, I will, but I'll try to this is just a, hey, come here. We have to, it's the night before the game. I'm your trainer. I'm re-rolling my selected dice. Wow. Okay. I've got 3 pluses. So yeah.
Now you're just beginning to take the piss with these dice.
Yeah, you let me choose the dice room.
I did. Never again.
Hey.
So that is success and 2 advantages to play with. How do you want those advantages to play out? I say again, he has minders, he is straight-laced and suspicious.
Yeah, but he's not suspicious about his trainer. He knows his trainer. He's suspicious about the town and people in there. But I think I will use one of my advantages to say that he is really curious about the gym, because Dimitri has always told him, no, he should stay at the stadium and train there and not go into the city because things. So Dimitri calling him and saying, hey, let's go to this gym, he thinks it's kind of like a treat.
Yeah, and I'm prepared to count that as just straightforward success. He will turn up. I just wonder whether you want his circumstances when he arrived, whether you want to manipulate those with those extra 2 pluses.
I think one of those pluses should go to Dimitri saying that, hey, my buddy from UK is visiting me, and you have the opportunity to train with the best fitness trainer that trains with like Manchester, and yeah, it's gonna be cool, because otherwise I would be like, who is he?
Yes, that is perfect. We will do that.
Yeah, that works very neatly. So you've got 1 plus to spend. Any suggestions, folks? Moshe, Mia? Okay.
I think we'll just keep hold on to it until we think of something.
I mean, holding it seems like the best option at this point.
Okay.
I think the plan's pretty solid so far.
So Carl is going to be outside the gym with Dimitri's kind of pass. And Dylan, no, let me start. Moshe, where is Moshe as this begins to run on?
So I think the camera cuts over to Moshe and it shows him like drinking extremely strong Turkish coffee, and he's got huge bags under his eyes because for the last X number of hours, 12 hours, whatever, he's had a grown-up watching Mr. Happy's movements, because he thinks all this is a bit of a silly distraction possibly, and he wants to make sure that Mr. Happy isn't trying to double-cross the entire team.
Fine. Do you want to roll that surveil now, or do you want to keep it for later?
We can do it now. Can I have that extra plus that we just banked?
Yeah, I mean, I think the difficulty is that the narrative thrust of that plus is targeted on the kid.
That's not a problem. So I did get 2 minuses and no pluses on my 1.
Hang on a second. Because if this is going on, it would make sense if Moshe had mentioned it to Mia.
Sure.
And if Mia tried to see what she could do in terms of, there's a plus and 3 blanks. So I'd like to add to that Moshe has Happy's, well, pretty much whatever he wants. Do you want the itinerary? Do you want his calendar? Do you want his cell phone location? What do you want that would make it easier for your drone to follow him?
What would really be helpful, actually, is if she could in some way hear his phone conversations.
Is that reasonable for the plus?
Yeah, I'll let you have that.
Okay.
So you are monitoring Mr. Happy, Mia. It doesn't really tie into the drone hunt, I have to say. Because
yeah, but she's trying to
idea, Moshe.
Moshe's trying to be sure that he's not orchestrating a meet someplace where he would be able to speak to people in person.
So the way we play this is that now we know what Mr. Happy is saying to people, and if he says bad things, then Moshe can have a drone to watch him say bad things. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see how things go shortly. I've just realized, guys, I've run vastly over my break time. I'm sorry. It's 20 past the hour now. Shall we say we'd be back here at half past the hour? Yeah.
Sure.
I'll see you in a bit. we'll give Sabine a minute.
So I have a question to clarify what just happened, because I'm lost. There is some surveillance. There is a so-called mess on the table. We didn't get something, but then Mia did something, and I'm lost. What happened there? What are the consequences to us?
Do you want to Packet, Stephen? Do you want to fill in Carl on what Mia and Moshe have done?
Well, I think fictionally, what they've done is Mia's hacked into his cell phone and can hear his phone line and can hear his communications. And should the need arise, Moshe will put up a drone and follow his movements.
It's an insurance policy. We want to make sure he's not double crossing us. So we're monitoring what he's doing at the same time we're working on getting this soccer player out of the way so his team can win, so we can get the hell out of this city and get to Vienna.
Basically, I'm kind of fictionally addressing the concerns that you had at the beginning. Like when you said, well, this is kind of silly for a bunch of operatives to be doing this. Well, I'm saying, well, maybe it is silly. Maybe that's, maybe this is just a distraction that this guy has thrown up so that he can do something else. So I'm trying to make that kind of fit in.
Cool. I really like this. So what is the result of this, like us not getting the surveillance role? Are we like missing something? Is he meeting some mysterious people and we are not sure what is being talked over there?
We have no idea about any of that stuff yet. We just have his communications tapped.
Okay.
So I'm seeing Carl outside the gym. Moshe and Mia are monitoring Mr. Happy. Dylan, where are you in all this?
I think I'm either in the gym or I'm with Carl, because I need to check the kid out.
And is this
or maybe I'm in the gym, and then I can go up to Carl and say, "Hey, wait, aren't you Sir Lucas Moss?" Just to sell the whole thing and get myself talking to the kid.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It was whether you were going to pretend to know one another or not. That's what I want to be clear about. Okay, so Carl, you're outside the gym.
Before that, I would like to make a use of this particularly good skill called treat to give a short pep talk to my team, because we talked about me being a team shrink to be able to help others to relieve some stress. So I think we see us in our base of operation, which is our van. And Carl is like dressing in this like fitness gear, everything, and he looks at the team and he says, "Okay, this seems completely out of our way, and I feel already wrong for dragging this kid. Let's do it nice, easy, quick. We're out, and let Mr. Happy deal with his football team however he likes. Let's get this nice and done quickly, no problems."
Straight in, straight out. Go ahead. Treat.
It's a plus and 2 minuses.
So somebody can reduce stress by 1.
I think Moshe has the most.
Yeah, so Moshe stress drops to 1. I'll simply stack up another 2 complications on Carl, because sooner or later he will bump into another vampire. I'm going to need to power the vampire's supernatural abilities. Carl, limo pulls up, probably one of those big Lexus, 4-wheel drives, and out comes Abasoli and his 2 minders, and he's heading towards the gym, as if to just go inside. So what do we see you do? Because I think what Dylan has told him is that Dimitri said, "Come to the gym so you can work with," sorry, name I've forgotten, your cover name.
It's in the chat, Sir Luke Moss. So to sell this cover, I think I see them pull out. I walk inside, just like flash Dimitri badge, whatever, and as he's going, I'm allowing Dylan to actually sell my cover and being Sir Luke Moss fanboy and how Sir Luke is this marvelous fitness trainer working with the best UK football teams.
And I totally will try to pull Igwe, was it, into this conversation, because of course I recognize him. He's the young Nigerian football genius that I've heard about. Are you here to train him, Mr. Moss? This is, oh my God, I'm such a fan.
Oh yes, Dimitri mentioned. Dimitri said you're gonna come to train. Such a pleasure to meet you. To meet a young football star.
And you're muted, Alan. But
Cut straight to talk soft, Dylan.
yes, I will. I've still got a plus in my hole, I think. Oh wow, and I totally need that because I rolled 2 4 minuses. Wow, thank you. Snake.
So
Snake.
Four
Yeah.
minuses.
I mean, you rolled 3 minuses twice last time.
Yeah,
so,
well, I will exchange one of these for a plus
because
I
he's
still have one on hold.
He's expecting to meet
yeah.
this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then I will take a stress. And I think I will use my training to reroll one of these minuses. So I have 2 pluses, and I will reroll one of you. Come on. Yeah, and it's another plus. So.
Okay, so you have 2 pluses. So
no, I have 3. I take
have
one.
3, yeah,
I take 1 stress, so I have 3.
So he believes that this is Sir Lucas Moss. And how do you want to make use of these 2 additional ones, either Dylan or Carl?
I would like him to be attracted to me.
Yes, I think a 70-year-old Nigerian maybe doesn't realize what that is, but he's certainly fascinated by you. Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. I know what it is.
Yeah.
And he might learn.
And you still have 1 plus to play with. So so how do you want to make use of that final bit of fictional positioning, Carl?
I need to ask, what is our ultimate plan here? Is it to overtrain him to cause him an injury, or is it to give him some energy drinks full with drugs to make him I don't know, just like feeling bad tomorrow?
I think my plan was to take him out for a night on the town, actually.
Okay.
But I feel that's more appropriate to the whole subject of this spy thing that we take, and not that we not just poison him or just break his foot or whatever, but take him out for a night with a montage or something like that.
So I'm very happy for that remaining plus to turn into a training session. And Carl, you know, you know fitness, so I'm not going to make you roll for that. And that extra plus is him overcoming his suspicions or his straight-lacedness, and following his fascination with this sophisticated Dylan Herbst, and agreeing to go to a club after the training is over. So, Carl, are you going too? The Minders are going.
Yeah, come on, please. One of those miners has to be a vampire.
Yeah, I think Carl. I think Dylan suggests the idea, and then just like Carl jumps on it while we are like all sweaty and training, and Carl says, "Well, I only have a weekend to stay in this wonderful city, so might as well hit the clubs, you know. And I'm sure that the 2 of you know the best ones, so sure."
I will have spent some time researching what clubs we can go to.
Yeah, it's what you do whenever you arrive in a town. And so we will have a montage of minders getting increasingly concerned as Dylan just whisks this naive young straight-laced Nigerian round a whole range of clubs into the small hours. Do you want to go as far as slipping him a Mickey Finn, or are you content just to tire him out?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I mean, I would, if he were amenable, I would go further than just partying.
Well, then I think that talk soft is fair. I will require you to overcome his straight-lacedness, though.
Cool.
So this is not going to be quite as simple as it appears.
That's fine. I'll try. Yeah, I have 2 pluses.
I'll take the minus for later.
Cool.
Because you've been rolling too well so far.
I have rolled -4.
Yeah, but then you kind of magicked it up to almost 4 pluses.
Yes.
You just used the rules.
Yes.
So yeah, fine. I think we'll cut to the following morning with Abasoli waking up in a hotel room with Dylan. Yeah. Carl is back with the others. Mia and Moshe, I think it is time for me to tell you something about the pattern of phone calls. Almost as soon as you have the tap set up, Happy is ringing a couple of numbers in Odessa. And you hear him talking to a contact of his in Odessa, saying, anything unusual happened? And what comes out is that there was an explosion in a hotel room. And the word is that the Lisky Bratva are after some outsiders, some non-locals. And the guy says, why are you interested, Happy? And Happy said, oh, no, just somebody told me that there'd been a bit of trouble. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to come my way. Moshe, I think that then building on Mia's tap, she can feed you his location so you can keep an eye on him. And you definitely see him do the rounds of several variously disreputable areas of Tirsapol. And he goes into an apartment block. He's there 20 minutes. He comes back out. He goes to a factory on the outskirts of town. He's there 20 minutes. He comes back out. Does this 3 or 4 times after the phone calls to Odessa. And then finally, you hear him making a booking at the Greek restaurant for after the football match, which will be taking place now tonight. Yeah? Do you have any questions for me, or does that seem a reasonable amount of information to pick up on the basis of those?
Here's a question. Who's the best player on his football team?
I think it's probably a centre forward called Ogdunov.
Ogdunov. Okay. I want to find out where Ogdunov is. I want an insurance policy.
I think Ogdunov is probably with the team training at the slightly more rundown FC Tirsapol, because the FC Sheriff Stadium is quite grand, where the match will be held. But FC Tirsapol have a training field on the outskirts of town. And I think probably the team is going to spend most of the afternoon just practicing moves, tactics, last-minute fitness training. Yeah? And Moshe can easily monitor that with the drone. Moshe, do you have any questions for me?
No. he is going to put a drone up with a full suite of electronics over that Greek restaurant and see if anyone shady moves into position and monitor the area around it.
Okay. And then it's Dylan. Are you going to spend the day with Abasoli, or are you going to?
Oh, I will wake him up after 1 hour of sleep, and then we will go train. And I mean, I'm older than he is, but I'm also a goddamn spy, and I've taken probably some pills to keep me awake. So we will go jogging, and then we do push-ups, and we will see who does more. And it's probably him because I'm cheating. But
No,
yeah,
that's fine. Carl, after Dylan and Abasoli disappear off, do you go with them back to the villa where he's staying, or do you beat a hasty retreat?
You mean the evening, or do I follow them through the day?
Sorry, I said you went to a hotel room, didn't I? So do you want to hang about the hotel where Dylan takes Abasoli, and the minders nervously pace outside the room door, or do you want to pick him up again the following morning?
I kind of I'm looking for a nice opportunity to prime my discipline, but I'm not sure how to do it.
Yeah, I'm a ghost. They never need to know that I'm there or that I was there. I suppose that what you're talking about is using your conceal skill, or infiltration, to keep an eye on them without them knowing they're being kept an eye on. Is that fair?
Yeah. I think we see Carl on the roof of a normal casual building, just like looking through the binoculars,
Yeah.
through the windows of the hotel, being a creepy stalker, and watching if there is if Dylan needs help or not. And staying out in the shadows, so that we see he is there keeping watch, but nobody else sees it.
Okay. I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think it's well within your skill set, and you can mark that discipline. Okay, so it's the following day. Dylan has kept Abasoli up one way and another all night. And do you then just let the binders pour him into the back of the Lexus and drive away? Or do you have anything else in mind for this poor devil?
no, we were partying all night, and then we are going to train all day until I will allow him to get back to his minders and his team 3 hours, I guess, before the match, but not before that.
Okay, so
and then I will drop myself into Carl's car and be like, "Oh God, I need to sleep."
And so you spend the next 3, 4, 5 hours until after the match dozing. Carl probably catches a nap as well. But then I'm seeing all of you probably in a cafe somewhere watching the match on television. And there's a huge roar when Abasoli comes onto the field. And then he has an incredibly disappointing game. It's a 0-0 draw. Ogdunov gets 1 shot at goal. Abasoli gets 4 shots at goal, and he misses all of them. And so, unless you have anything else in mind, I'm going to cut back to the Greek restaurant after the match is finished.
Quick mechanical question here: have I managed to prime my training discipline, the hacking one, at this point? Okay.
You did that way back at the start, I think, when you were talking about hacking the vamp's personal details.
Yes. Okay. And then with my discipline, have I already managed to show that breaking stuff is always an option?
Have I seen you do that?
That's
When
what
are
I'm
you
asking.
thinking? I'm not sure that we've seen you do that particularly.
You disposed of our cell phones back in Odessa.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
No, go on. Yeah,
All right.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, because I mean, just burning the cell phones is not exactly a sophisticated way of getting rid of it, but it's a quick
No,
way.
exactly.
Okay.
You know, you could set up all kinds of, you know, traces across South America.
I lean over and I whisper to, well, we're still at the cafe and we're watching the end of the match. I lean over and whisper to Carl, can you get me need a gun? Can you get me something that I can conceal but that has decent stopping power?
Yes, of course.
And it's probably probably got something on the trunk of the car, I'm thinking, but
yeah, I actually sometimes use it as my backup, and Carl will just like get under the table and just like take out this like it looks like it's like a little gun with like a full 4 barrels, like a really small and
wait, is that one of the Taurus sidearms? Is that the one that uses shotgun shells instead of slugs?
Yeah, I slightly modified the barrels to fit in the shotgun shells. In the ads in the 60s, you would see ladies put them into their purse. I think it would fit, but it has like a decent stopping power.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you. I have a feeling that we may need to encourage Mr. Happy, and I don't want Dylan to be in on it because I don't want their friendship to be strained. But there's been some weird chatter going on, so be ready.
Maybe are you suggesting that I should find a nice place on the cover, on the roof, on the roof of the building outside, and lay there with my rifle just in case? And not here.
Well, I was actually going to. I think it'd be unusual if I wasn't there, but if you wanted to set up in a little perch and make yourself a little nest so that you've got a clear line of sight on Mr. Happy, just in case you need to put one through his chest or head, that's not a terrible idea at this point. It's been odd. So being ready.
But you are taking me this like seafood takeaway because they are making it like really well in the restaurant. So
listen. I stopped a vampire from killing you. Do you honestly think I'm going to let you go hungry?
I'm just saying the seafood here is great, and I need it for takeaway. So
all right, I'll get you a platter. How about that? You don't even have to tell me what you want. I'll just get you like one of everything since it's on Mr. Happy.
Perfect. And Carl will just like order coffee takeaway and just like leave the restaurant to set up somewhere nice and safe with his like semi-automatic rifle.
That's fine. I won't make you roll for that and for conceal until such times it becomes clear that there's a counter sniper on the other rooftop.
Talking about counter snipers, I mean, I am not a friend of Mr. Happy's, and I know he's out for number one. So I will have a look around the place before we go in, just to see what's
surveillance. I think so. Yes. So surveil away.
I will survey. Yes, just looking around in a friendly manner. No, I don't see anything. I won't change anything right now. I'll give you the complications.
What I will tell you, I will use one of those complications to say that you do notice a suspicious-looking car and a suspicious-looking van on the road, not directly in front, but they've been parked there a while. Okay.
And this is knowledge that we all share at this point.
Yeah, Dylan, Sabine, you're muted.
I will alert Mia and Moshe. I don't know if he's with us, but Carl isn't, so I will alert Mia too.
I was about to ask, Moshe, where are you?
I think Moshe's in the van. I mentioned earlier that he's had that drone up for a while and is continuing to monitor in the long term. So yeah, I think he's going to keep an eye on things during the meet.
That's fine. So
I fire off a quick text to say, get a drone up with some hellfires on it. So
we have Dylan and Mia meeting Mr. Happy in the Greek restaurant. Yeah, Carl keeping an eye from the rooftop opposite, and Moshe watching the block, so to speak. So when you go in, Mr. Happy is very happy, very happy, and you know the drinks are on him, Dylan. Mia, you're too young to drink, but have a vodka.
I'm looking at Mia like, what?
He's being
Look
silly
too young
and
to
very,
drink.
very gracious. He's saying I look much too young for my age. What a charmer you are.
And he says, so did you see the result?
Yeah.
0-0.
I mean, for you, that's basically a win, right?
That's a win. That's a win, my friends. So I owe you one, Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had nothing to do with it, but I owe you one.
Yeah, you know, I come, there's a problem, the problem goes away.
Well, it's not always been that way in my experience, Dylan, but on this occasion, it's
True.
absolutely money. And can we drop the pretense now? Because I know that Lisky's after you.
Well, we never really said they weren't. We just said we needed a way out.
Yeah. Well, now I know who I have to sell some kind of alternative story to. Do you know anything about the Lisky Bratva? Because they are a rough bunch of motherfuckers. They are, you know, bad news. But so far, they're not Transnistria's bad news. So far, we've managed to keep them off our patch, and I'd like to keep it that way, Dylan. And so anything you can do to put something in the spoke in the wheel of the Lisky Bratva, me and some associates of mine that I've been talking to today would be very pleased. Because I don't know if you know any of this, but there were a lot of independent guys in Odessa who suddenly started having accidents. And I really don't want to be on the list of people going to have a Lisky accident, okay? So, you know, from me to you, you slow the Lisky down, you do me a favor, that's one in the box for next time. But I owe you now. So how can I help?
Yes, I said, get us to Vienna. As quickly as possible. Plane, maybe?
Yeah, I can get you. I've got a van and a car outside. So you can take one or both of them. They're clean. Nobody associates them with you. They're fine. And you know, the strong advice I've got is stay off the main roads. Because the Bratva, they've got a haulage company, a truck company. And they do a lot of these runs from Odessa through Moldova to a place called Debrecen in Hungary. And as far as I know, they use the main roads. Apart from one place, there's one place where they always kind of go off road. And he gets a road map out. And he says, this is us. They normally cross the border. They don't come through Tersipol. They go up via Chisinau, the Moldovan capital. They cross into Romania about here. And then they stay on the main road. Apart from here, my informants tell me that they regularly break the journey in some god-forsaken hamlet in the back of beyond in the Carpathian Mountains. And then after that, they push on across the border into Hungary to Debrecen. After that, they're off my radar.
But, what was the name of the town where they...
It's near a ski resort called Vatra Dornei, but my informants tell me they don't stop at Vatra Dornei. They come off the road about here, And then rather than going this way, the normal route you take, they come off the road and they take some back road somewhere around here up into the mountains. There's nothing there. It's like, farms. But the only village that's been named is a place called Dragovir. I got no more than that for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. But
really quickly, I would, with the trademark skill, we can use that once per session, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I want to flash back and use that skill to have gotten every single piece of information I can have obtained on Mr. Happy.
By all means. And so you get everything, and you have 3 pluses to play with him. There's one other bit of information, Mia, that you've reminded me of. Do we remember when Carl was on the Turkish cargo ship? He collected a whole load of cargo manifests.
Yeah.
Debrecen was mentioned on that, but also there were a consignment of clothes, blankets, supplies, which had destination Dragovir, which only now makes any sense.
So, what is Mr. Happy's actual name?
Vladimir Shevlenko, former colonel in the Red Army. Two to go.
I'll keep 2.
Okay, you have 2 calls on information about Mr. Happy.
It occurs to me that if you have a vested interest in messing with the Lisky Bratva, that clearly our enemy is the same, and it occurs to me that you might be able to make some use of some information we found on one of their cargo ships. Or maybe it'll just be useful or interesting to you. And I slide over a little USB stick with pictures and things like that. Saying, here's some information that we found. Might be useful, might not.
So is this telling him what I've just told you about
the manifests and things like that, and Dragovir, and pointing out there's blankets going there? So, just in the interest of information sharing.
Yeah. I think you need to know, Mia, that I'm not going to go up against the Bratva.
Of course not.
I need to keep my head down. But if you can make life difficult for them, then that's a different question.
Absolutely. But still, isn't it true that every piece of information that you get can be useful? You can always leverage it in some way. It always gives you an idea of what's actually going on.
Yeah. No, there's something to that. There's something to that, Mia.
So, you know what's going where. Maybe that's useful. Maybe you know a route to avoid now.
Yeah, that might. Yeah, but you're talking about me operating outside Transnistria here, Mia. I don't want to draw the Lisky's attention here.
Course.
But if anybody comes asking questions, I never saw you. You were never here. Maybe I heard that you'd gone north. Maybe I heard that you dashed out into northern Ukraine, maybe heading the long way around to Poland. That's what I can do for you.
That's outstanding.
Then our business here is done. Enjoy the meal. I have a football result to celebrate.
It's been nice working with you, Colonel Shevlenko.
And an eyebrow goes up. Looks at Dylan and says, smart girl, very smart girl.
Yeah, well, I like associating with smart people.
And unless you want to do anything else in that Greek restaurant.
I want to get the takeout that I promised Carl.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And
Oh, if we can take out, I will take some for Moshe, because I think he might like to eat. And some cigarettes. I will take him some cigarettes.
Happy doesn't appear to have any idea where Carl or Moshe are, or any concern about them. So do we cut to the new van? You have a van and a car. You can take either or both. What are you thinking?
Both. If we have two, we take two, I think.
I'd kind of like to see if Moshe can use his fixed skill to see if there's anything unusual about the vehicles. Are they rigged in any way?
Yeah, Moshe, do you want to run some kind of scanner over the vehicles?
Yeah, so he'll visually inspect them and then also scan them for EM.
So that sounds like fixed to me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So 1 plus and 2 minuses, so that should do it.
Certainly the 1 plus will tell you that there are no trackers that you've spotted. But I am inclined to keep the 3 minuses for later, because now you're all sitting on 4, 5, or 6 complications that will give me plenty of scope. So where are you going to go next?
What are you thinking? Should we go to this Dragovir thing? I mean, it sounds like we're in Transylvania, and this sounds vampire-y, okay?
Listen, Carol thought it was important enough to tell us about that locker at the airport in Vienna that he was doing it as he was fleeing. And it doesn't sound like anything good happened to him. No. So if it was important enough for him to tell us that in those situations, I think it's important enough for us to go find out what the hell is there, even if we have to split up. I mean,
can you at least get the drone in the air and get some images of what's there, so that we know, should we bring in a truckload of C4, or should we bring something heavier?
So what do you want to know, Carl?
Just somehow surveil the area, even if we are going past it, to just get close to this off-road location and just like find something so that we know what's there. Are we looking into some weird because you said they own shipping company? Is it like some mysterious refueling station in the middle of nowhere? Is it like do they live in some forsaken fortress? Just, it sounds like we will be getting back there, so getting some surveillance now might set us up for the future so that we know what's there.
Moshe can reach out to a contact of his and try to get satellite surveillance, American contact, and try to get satellite surveillance of that area.
I'm prepared to have that happen. Which skill do you see playing there, Moshe?
So for what I would have in mind,
because you can ask or you can take.
No, I think he's reaching out through a network of someone he used to work with when he was in the service. So it's more like a favor for a favor type of situation.
Okay, then I think that I don't think I'll make you roll for that then, because I don't think that can go wrong. It sounds like, okay. The only thing that Israeli intelligence has on a place called Dragovir was that they reckon that it was run by Soviet state security until the fall of the Soviet Union. It was run by Soviet state security after the war. but the monastery was then returned to the Orthodox Church. And for about 20 years between the 50s and the 70s, a silent and isolated order of Orthodox monks lived at Dragomir Monastery. But the only thing that's come out of Dragomir since then is that was until about 1979. And in 1979, it was reported that the oldest and last Orthodox monk had thrown himself from the monastery's ramparts, and the place has been abandoned since.
So as far as the IDF is concerned, this area is not even utilized anymore. It's abandoned.
That's their view.
Okay.
It must be said that Israeli interest in this particular patch of ground is probably minimal. It's a bit off the beaten track from their usual kind of surveillance. Anyone else got any questions?
With the pluses that I have remaining with Mr. Happy, can he deliver some equipment to someplace if we ask for it?
I think he probably can. I mean, it depends what you're interested in.
Carl, what do you want? You were asking about C4.
Well, unless we are going there right there, it doesn't really matter, and we will use it for later. Because you want to go to Vienna, I'm fine. We're just like driving by, and so we are not ambushing the place. So,
well, we could, in theory, split up. I mean, do we need to have everybody go to Vienna? We could have people like start surveilling or, kind of monitoring Dragomir, since it appears to be weird.
I don't know. Do we want to split up?
I don't know. Might be that we walk into an ambush in Vienna, but on the other hand, what's the worst that can happen?
I think being split by two. Oh my God! I forgot the. I think being split by two streets is okay, but being split by a couple of 100 kilometers, not being able to support each other, is not good for this idea particularly. So we will come here when we get some mission to come here. If there is nothing in Vienna about this place, we will just drive by next time. I don't know.
So
for now.
Can I bank those pluses with Mr. Happy for an equipment drop? Say next session after.
Yeah,
okay.
That's fine. Yeah,
good enough.
So what I sense is that we are reaching the point in this episode where you are about to drive out of Tirsapol, heading west. Yeah.
Fine by me.
Okay, and that would seem to me to be a logical place to bring this episode to a close. Yeah. Okay. Dreams and wishes. Shall we run along for dreams? And then, stars and wishes. Too tired. So, Sabine, stars.
Stars. Yes. Okay. I like the flashback with Carl, and I like the flashback Carl had with Mia. And I want to see more of Moshe, because I feel that he is always in the van, and that's nice, but I feel we lack a bit of connection between the characters. I feel the others are integrating better into each other. And that's more of a wish, but still, I think he has a lot.
I'll take them together.
Okay.
Stephen.
Yeah, I think again, just the GMing, this is a fairly complicated story, and you're keeping a lot of details straight in terms of being able to throw out names and whatnot on the fly. So well done for that.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Who knew you were going to ask for Mr. Happy's real name? Moving along, Pavel, any stars?
I really feel like we are partaking. I really feel like I am partaking in some kind of movie, a spy movie, a secret agent movie, because there are the maps, there are the pins, there are the photos. I get the feel of being in some kind of like a spy movie that is really rare, because I don't usually play. I think it's called contemporary games, like current times, and this is one of those games, and it really makes me feel like I'm in some James Bond movie. And I also liked the flashback. I felt like we gave our characters a little bit more, except them being agents.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think those flashbacks early on kind of fill that wish from last time, I hope, anyway. Okay, Puckett, any stars?
I also really like the flashbacks because it gives us an idea of why any of these people should care about each other other than just having the common goal of staking vamps, as it were. And I come out of like more PBTA games lately. So I'm used to having those questions asked where you have the party intentionally define what the pre-existing relationships are like. So I like that you implemented that. I like how you implemented that as a GM. It doesn't necessarily have any effect on roles, but it makes the fiction a little bit more interesting, a little bit deeper, a little bit more connected. And I really appreciated that. Honestly, what my wish is, it feels like this session was built more around Dylan's cuckoo ability. So what I'd like to see in the next couple of sessions is, Carl to get a chance to be in a sniper perch, pop some heads or whatnot. I'd like to see Moshe get to use the Hellfire missiles he's talking about. And, I like that things feel like they're kind of settling into a groove. The dice rolls weren't as bad this time. I just enjoyed this one. This is a lot of fun. This felt a lot more like the one that I was in previously, where things were kind of going as they more or less should be, with a group of professionals who were really skilled at what they do. And also, I really, really, really loved how Sabine played Dylan in this episode, because you've had an hour's worth of sleep. That's enough. We're gonna go train now. It's like that was. It's like, okay, and you did it without a hat. I mean,
imagine how seductive.
Who says that I did it without a hat? No, yeah, come on, be realistic.
So I think that actually covers both stars and wishes for me.
Well, because I was about to ask you for wishes going back, but I'll slot in a couple of stars of my own. Yes, I think I began to get a feel for how this group worked together, and the flashbacks work to do a lot of that. And I think you're right; they have no mechanical weight, but they have some narrative weight. I think we get to feel some of these relationships. So stars all round for that. Thank you. So Puckett's given me wishes. Pavel, wishes.
I put down the short list, not to forget about stuff. So I would really like to see someone using the symbol solace or safety, because so far nobody mentioned this. I mean, I slotted my wife somewhere, saying that I have a wife, but I never had a chance to. I need to use it. I would wish for something to be happening, because today was like James Bond going after, I don't know, someone unknown. I would so something happening, some obstacles, not necessarily someone to beat up, but, and this going to the next wish, I wish stuff to be connected to the Brits, to the Bratva cartel. I forgot. Lisky cartel, and it would be. I feel it would be really fun if, hey, the club is owned by Bratva cartel or Batlitsky himself, and and maybe it's his villa the boy is living in. So now we are motivated to take out the boy and drag him out, but also to infiltrate his villa and hack his private network over there to get some information on Lisky cartel, because it was like side quest. And I would love to see some more fiction put on the rolls. Like, I know Puckett wrote some stuff, but I had no idea how did it look in the fiction. I would love to see some fiction being put on the rolls. Yeah.
I'm very open to that, guys. You know, you roll the dice, tell me what we see. I don't guarantee to ask you all the time, because it gets a bit boring answering that question every time. But by all means, you know, make use of it. I will prompt you for what you do with the bonuses, but I won't necessarily say every time, so tell me what it looks like. Okay, that I count that as down to you. In terms of the side quest, you do now actually know an awful lot more about the Lisky Bratva than you did when you were out at Tirsipol. Whether you choose to do anything with that is a different question. Yeah. So moving on, Stephen, wishes.
Yeah, I know. You know, Moshe didn't get a lot of screen time in this one, or as much screen time necessarily, but that honestly wasn't a problem for me, because I mean, it's a spy thriller, so I think when he does actually get screen time for his ability and make something go boom, you know, that's something. I don't need to have something go boom every single episode for it to be fun. For me, it matters more if, you know, he gets his one big boom. So that'll be you know, something to look forward to. Yeah, I agree that you know, I think Dylan did a great job this time. But yeah, given Carl the time to display his unique skills, I think we need to. I think my one real wish would be that we get to use our disciplines and trademarks more, because we didn't do that a whole lot this time, and I think that's a really cool part of the system. So being able to use that, and, you know, feeling that kind of little rush of, this is what makes my guy unique. I think we should all be doing that more, in addition to the symbols and solaces. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just in terms of that, my wish, I think, Stephen, would be look carefully at discipline and trademark, because they're very narrow.
Yeah.
And there's only one circumstance in which either one of them could play. You know, which is basically when you fire a missile at something. So yeah. I think carefully about whether that's a sufficiently likely to happen.
Yeah. I kind of put mine together on the fly in the middle of this this episode, so I might have to mess those a little bit. I feel like, you know, two sessions in, I'm finally figuring out what Moshe is supposed to be doing. But yeah, I might play with those a little more.
Because the other thing I think I'd wish is to see him engaging more of the active skills. So, you know, drive doesn't just mean drive a drone.
Right.
You know, so I think you know, he is in effect now the team driver. So that's what's in my mind as we move as we get on the road. Yeah. So you might want to think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my wish done. Hey. And finally, Sabine, wishes.
My wishes, yes, I said that I would like to see more of Moshe, and I would like to have a flashback with him, because I think that might be somewhere where we could find out more about these characters. Yeah, and the others all said most of the things that I would underline, I guess. Yeah, that's my wishes. Those are my wishes.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to end the broadcast. If we say bye-bye to the internet, and I click that button.
Bye-bye, internet.